Sex and happiness both enrich our lives, yet it's surprising how few people can honestly say that they enjoy regular and fulfilling sex or describe themselves and their lives as happy. Host Laurie Handlers helps you to experience real intimacy and happiness. You'll laugh a little, learn a little, and we hope put a smile on your face and a smile in your life. Now here's Laurie.
Hi, everybody. This is Laurie Handlers, and you're listening to an episode of Sex and Happiness, a show about sex and happiness. I say this every time. I say it often. This show is to make you happier and sexier. If you're not getting happier and sexier, maybe my show isn't for you, but I think it is. I care a lot about your sex and happiness, and I think they go hand in hand. And I don't think you can have one without the other. And most of my guests say the same thing, you know, so I guess I have agreement. And today we're going to have an uproarious show, I think. My guest is Michael Arthur, and this is how he describes himself. He's a transformational sorcerer who specializes in catalyzing those who are experiencing a time of rapid transition to focus their will and achieve extraordinary results. He also advises service-oriented entrepreneurs who wish to crystallize their messaging and business strategies. Yay, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Laurie. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're going to talk about your new launch, which you just, you launched, maybe a week ago, called Fuck and Grow Rich.
Yes.
Which is a takeoff on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael, first of all, that's a very, how do I want to say it? It's a title of a program that could, both turn people on and turn people off. I know you've been taking some heat, even though you didn't spell fuck out on social media. F, exclamation point, dot, whatever.
Yeah.
So before we get to that, when I met you, you were doing photography and video.
Yep.
And that's already, 6 years ago or something like that.
It was a number of years ago. I don't think it was quite 6.
Okay.
Actually, my life has progressed rather rapidly since that point. I started out doing photography and video, and before that, I was a community college professor.
I didn't know that. I was that too.
Yeah, I did that for, I was a college professor for 9 years, if we include my time as a graduate teaching assistant at Oregon State University.
Wow. And so then somehow you catapulted.
Well, I assume you talk with a number of people who've had various forms of spiritual awakenings, and life shifts and transitions and massive change, transformation. Some people come into a spiritual path from a place of, maybe they did a yoga teacher training, or they, experienced some profound awakening while they were climbing to the top of a mountain, or had a near-death experience and it transformed their whole life or whatever. For mine, it was long and drawn out and painful and involved a rather toxic, destructive relationship. So that's what caused the change.
Well, that cost, I think that's very common.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I think that, but see, the thing is, I don't know. It's like, the expression, take lemons and make lemonade.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think you're making lemonade martinis.
Oh, great. Yes. I've got a whole bunch of lemonade over here. Life didn't just give me lemons. It stuck me in the middle of a lemon orchard and then said, make something out of this. And they were just seedlings.
Oh my God.
So it was 2 years before they fully matured, and then the lemons started to form, and then, these lemons, they're too small to make anything out of. And then the next year, it's all right, now we got some real lemons.
Yeah, so I look at you and I just go, when I like open social media, I just said this to you in private. I think you have a lot of social media currency. When I open social media and I see you, you know, doing a show, doing a live, posting something, writing something, you're like brilliant. You know, I don't know what other, I'm not going to dumb it down. I'm just.
Oh. Thank you, Lori. I mean, really, I've got a fire lit under my ass because I experienced so much pain and trauma and hardship over the course of maybe 2-3 years in my life that, and it was particularly surrounding a relationship that I had with a woman who was a recovering heroin addict. And she also was a sex worker in some capacity. And I'll tell you what, I had never experienced anything like that before in my life. I got a firsthand glimpse into some of that world and some of her traumas and really the path to recovery from all of this. So it was kind of like at one time I was put into the depth of a world of wounding I could have never imagined, which forced me to learn all about sexuality and trauma. And at the same time, this woman introduced me to Tantra, and I began to connect with people like you and and Monique Darling and Lawrence and all of these different people. And it expanded my sense of what was possible in the world massively. So at the same time that my life received a giant plastic explosives planted directly in the center of it, the tools for my own healing and expansion were also included within that journey as well.
Yeah. And, I guess I want to underline that because I actually assert that no matter what people are going through, I mean, you went through, like kind of a volcano and a hurricane and a tsunami at the same time. And I feel like people, they may not do it as fast as you, but when they're going through something that they feel like they just can't take it, not for one more second, not for one more minute, like they're up against the wall and they're so stressed and going through something so tumultuous.
And hopeless. They feel hopeless.
Right. They feel hopeless. But the point is the gift is really in there. That lemonade is in there.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
You're a living example of somebody who, it's almost like when I met you a little bit, you were afraid of your shadow, everything.
Yep.
And then you weren't. You were like standing tall, standing proud, letting your voice be heard. It's wonderful. I'm like, part of why I said to you, it's time for you to be on my show was because it was like a duh moment for me. It was like, Laurie, Michael needs to be on your show. Like he's kicking ass.
Yeah. And it used to be that my primary focus was people who were going through that time of transition, right? That going through the fire and wanted to crystallize a vision for their lives. And that's still one of my primary interests. However, I've taken a sort of a supplementary stand to it, where I've learned a ton in the last 3 years or so about business systems and how to create larger scale transformation rather than just working with people one-on-one. And so I've begun to support people who know how important this work surrounding sexuality and purpose is, and have begun to support them in creating social media presences and a business that will actually allow them to make money while creating this change. And that's my recent direction shift.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we're actually going to stop here. And when we come back, we're going to actually speak about Fuck and Grow Rich. How you came up with that and what you're doing with it and what exactly you are doing with people. Mm-hmm. And, of course, my ears are burning now because That's exactly what I'm doing. No, I'm not helping people in their businesses, but I'm taking my business to another level. So I can't wait to hear this stuff.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So if you just tuned in, you're listening to Sex and Happiness. I'm Laurie Handlers, and I'm speaking to Michael Author. And I just, if you're somebody who's been through it, and, and maybe you're going through it now, and you're wondering, when is it going to end? When are you going to turn around and be successful and stop being plagued by things? Use Michael as a role model for you, because he's somebody who he boomerangs back and pulled himself up. I mean, he's not a person to stay in suffering mode or poor me or victimization. And this is a really good message, really, for everyone. So stay tuned. We're coming right back. We're going to hear about Fuck and Grow Rich. Did you ever stop to think that love is your birthright? That you don't need to earn it or prove it? You just need to live it. I'm personally inviting you to the path of true love, power, and freedom. If you're ready to enliven your soul through conscious sexuality and dive deeply into profound ritual that frees your heart, I'm inviting you to join us for the Spiritual Sexual Shamanic Experience. This is better known to most of you as the ISTA Level 1 training. I am regularly leading these courses along with a team of accomplished facilitators all around the world. As a matter of fact, these trainings have taken place in 34 countries. For information on when I'm leading, go to butterflyworkshops.com. Or for a full schedule, you can go to schooloftemplearts.org. Please consider this invitation seriously, because love and freedom are your natural state of being.
Are you wondering what book to read to jumpstart your life? Get the best from relationships? Attain the deepest feelings of intimacy? Do you want the best sex along with great happiness? Get your copy of Sex and Happiness, The Tantric Laws of Intimacy by Laurie Handlers right now. You'll learn how to make love in the unknown, take the performance anxiety and reaching a goal out of sex. You'll learn subtle ways of communication and really important practices to empower you when dealing with an intimate partner. You'll let go of blame and struggle. Doesn't this sound great? Sex and Happiness puts the innocence back into sex and gives Tantra the respect it deserves. Take charge of your life, physically, emotionally, and spiritually with Sex and Happiness by Laurie Handlers. Only $19.99 paperback and $14.99 ebook. Order your copy today by going to butterflyworkshops.com. That's butterflyworkshops.com for your copy of Sex and Happiness.
If you're a woman who could use a little zest and zing in your arousal response, or maybe you know women or a woman who could use this, because many women say that their feelings of desire, arousal, and sexual satisfaction don't happen as naturally or as often as they'd like. So I want to tell you about Zestra, because Zestra was developed to meet this much-needed option for women. Zestra's safe and a patented blend of botanical oils and extracts, and it's created to help women have increased sexual sensations. Zestra comes in convenient single-dose personal packets. Each packet keeps the essential arousal oils and extracts free, fresh, and safe from light. And with application of Zestra, it starts to work within 3 to 5 minutes. And at about 10 minutes, there's something called the Zestra Rush. And that can last up to about 45 minutes. The great news is that Zestra can be used as frequently as you like during each sexual experience. Now, I'm somebody who believes that all women deserve sexual satisfaction. That's why I do this show, in case you hadn't noticed. So I believe that men and women deserve sexual satisfaction. So if you're a woman who isn't getting that kind of arousal response that you want, please call 877-426-8047. That's 877-426-8047. And please remember to say you heard about Zestra from Laurie Handlers on the Sex and Happiness Show.
We're back with Sex and Happiness. I'm Laurie Handlers, and today I'm interviewing Michael Arthur. And I love how he characterizes himself in his own description. He says he's a transformational sorcerer, and I just love that. That's like, a lot of people call themselves shamans these days, but I like sorcerer. It's got that.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I wouldn't use the word shaman is because I consider it one of those things that is primarily used to characterize indigenous cultures. Yeah. And sorcerer is a very Western term, and I really grew up loving that archetype and decided, well, what if I could live into that? What if I could determine, how can I embody the energy of a sorcerer more, right? And it became a commitment in my life to live as that.
That's wonderful. I like it. It's a turn on for me. It's an exciting word. And you're working with people who are in times of rapid transition and wanting to focus. So let's talk about it. Obviously you're making a play on Napoleon Hill, who I always tell people in my sex magic class, Napoleon Hill wrote about sexual energy in the chapter 11 of Think and Grow Rich.
Absolutely.
So what exactly, so first of all, I'm sure some people are very turned on by the title, and some people are giving you a lot of flack for the title, but it's okay. Like, the more attention you get, the better. So.
Yeah, that's kind of actually, there's a couple reasons why I chose that title, Fuck and Grow Rich. First of all, it's the power behind sex transmutation was part of it. And I don't think you've probably gone into that in a lot of depth in other episodes, so I don't necessarily need to feel the urge to go into that. However, there are some other reasons that I've chosen this title as well. First of all, it's obviously attention grabbing. And I state this on the landing page at fuckandgrowrich.com. Yeah, it's an attention grab. I realize that people will be drawn to it, like, what the fuck is this guy doing, right? And they go to it, and then they realize what is actually being created, and it creates discussion. And I firmly believe that my goal is to create a world in which everyone's desires, their authentic desires, their most authentic desires, both sexually, within business, if they want to act. Some people want to make money, some people don't. If they want to make money, that's okay. If they want to, have sex with 5 people at once, that's okay. Whatever you actually want from a place of just your integrated, real, authentic desires, you should be able to explore that. And that's the frame that I'm holding in Fuck and Grow Rich. It's the 2 things in the world that people hold the most shame, guilt, fear, and trauma around is money and sex. And there's a sense that in many spiritual communities, sex, the only way that you can engage in it is if it's for this like deep, soft healing purpose. And then people will have a sense that, well, if I feel these more, I want to fuck, and these sorts of and I want to, express myself in that way, it's not okay. And so they don't feel the ability to talk about it. And that makes it leak out the sides, and we get predators and people who tell you that they want one thing, and then they get you in a room alone and rape you, And
yeah.
And similarly, with money, you get all these people who feel that they must be of service exclusively with their business and don't feel that it's okay for them to talk about how they're making money in their business because that means they're greedy or that means they're bad in some way. And I want to help people realize that talking about money is okay. Talking about sex is okay. And even using these words that people consider like taboo is going to help you to own the fact that your own authentic desires are what your compass is in life, and you need to be able to talk about them.
It's great. It's wonderful. These are aside from not being able to talk about them, they're also the 2 things that people think they could live without.
Yep.
Like people have an illusion, or maybe it's a disillusion, that, I could take a vow of chastity and I could live without sex, or when I get to a certain age, I'm 50 and now I've done that already and I should have grown out of it.
Yep.
That's one thing. And then the other thing is they take a vow of poverty.
Yeah.
I remember, when I first started teaching Tantra, people said to me, you're charging, for spiritual practice, to teach spiritual practice. And I was like, yeah, you're damn right, I'm charging. This is my right livelihood. I didn't take a vow of poverty.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm not going to take a vow of poverty. Plus, I want to live a very, very, very long time, possibly forever. That's going to take money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I love that you're putting the two together, that you're talking about it, and you're letting other people, or you're inviting, let's say, other people to talk about it, about their desires, and you're busting the myths of greed or whatever
Right.
the labels are that our culture has put on wanting sex and wanting money.
And to be clear, there is a way that you can live life without money and without sex. It's entirely possible. There are entire, religious orders dedicated to that. And I'm not denigrating those paths. I think that they can be beautiful also. However, there's a sense that if you're not doing it in that way that has been done for hundreds or thousands of years, that somehow there's something wrong with you, or that that you are attempting to use people, or to take from others, or that you're selfish or greedy. And first of all, I'd say that being centered in the self-centered is a wonderful quality, but that you're not inherently being greedy simply by desiring money or desiring sex. They are money is, well, I mean, it's a number of things, but it's the energy of commitment, and it's also it's just that. It's an energy. It's something that you can use to make things happen.
Right.
And so that's why I focus in this program on people who are desiring to make things happen in the world, who want to help to reframe our culture, provide sex education, help mothers to reclaim their sexuality after pregnancy, right? People who have these big missions in the world and who want to make that happen and realize they're not going to do it unless they begin to value themselves and to take a look at how money can help them achieve that.
Excellent. I think it's needed and necessary, definitely. What about what about the flack that you're receiving?
So the primary critique that I've gotten in the beginning of launching the program was from people who read the title and thought it basically read "fuck to grow rich." So they thought that my primary target was sex workers, not or people who want to use their own personal sexuality to capitalize on other people's sexual wounding and to perpetuate their own sex addictions or what have you and make money doing so. And they thought that that's what I was going to allow, that my program was going to be a haven for predators and for sex addicts. And didn't I understand that that also, and this is the more valid point that I take more seriously, is that people who have sexual trauma, who have been sex workers, may read that title and feel hurt in their bodies, feel that that this is harmful, and be re-traumatized or re-triggered simply from reading the title. And I recognize that is a reality for some people. Some people will read the title and just have this incredibly negative emotional reaction. I got people basically vomiting all over me, telling me that this title was not okay. I mean, by saying people, I say I got like maybe 3 or 4. And I take that very seriously. So it's not enough for me to change the title, but it was enough for me to listen to them, get some feedback surrounding how I can clarify the intent I added an FAQ to the site. I changed some of the language in the outcomes on the landing page, so no one could accidentally confuse that if they actually read what I was offering.
Excellent. Good for you. Conscious and responsive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, good for you. Well, it's hard for me to fathom somebody like really just getting plugged in and triggered by a title of something, but I guess, I guess I'm not wounded in that way. So that right. I looked at it and I laughed.
Yeah, for sure. And I get both responses. It is, to many, it is funny because it's audacious. It's unconventional. And the people who did get triggered by it were people who, and there's a very particular journey here, people who had been sex workers, who had a negative experience of sex work, who had been sex addicts themselves and had used that as a way to hide out and continue in their addictions while still making a living. And they thought that I was helping other people embark upon the journey that had almost destroyed them.
Got it. Completely. Totally. So, okay. So that's a great, I'm glad I asked you the question, and I love your response. What are you actually doing? How long is the program? Is it individual coaching? Is it a program that someone signs up for and it's a group thing that you do online? I mean, how is it? What is
it? Yes, it's all of that and more.
Okay.
What I've noticed, and this is really the thing that I've been asking myself, is who am I serving? And who I'm serving in this year-long program are people who have a commitment to creating change in the world surrounding the realms of sexuality, relationships, and intimacy, who have something to share in that arena and are passionate in that and are still figuring out the way to have the large impact that they desire and make money doing so. So go ahead. So
are these people just like someone like me who's already launched in that arena? Are people like me responding to you, or people who are more starting out?
So my target are people who are making between $0 a year and really I'd say like I could serve people up to the $150,000 a year from their business successfully. Anything above that, and you probably have a team of 3 to 4 people, and it's beyond the scope of the program.
Got it. Okay, so I see it. It's like people who are more beginning their path in sexuality, or in like doing seminars or writing or doing online programs. I get it. There's a whole cadre of people who have come up in the past 10, 15 years that probably could really benefit from this as a service.
And what I've been doing over the past 3 years is I was working with Destin Garrick and the Evolved Masculine and studying how to scale, how to take a business from a solopreneurship to the point of needing a team in order to continue. And that's really how you make that, how you begin to start from 0 and go to 100K in a year, which is the goal for the mastermind.
That's awesome.
And I realized that in order to do that, it's helpful to look at models. So take a look at people like Jaya. Take a look at people like Layla Martin. I wouldn't necessarily use him as an example because of his particular model that's different, but like Reed or Reed Mihalko or Monique Darling, they're more workshop-based. And my target is people who do workshops but use the workshops to enroll into other offerings that provide a sustainable income so you don't have to travel all around the world just to make a living all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Perfect.
I am like right at that crossroads right now. I just put all my online programs together.
Yep.
That's awesome, Michael. It's so needed. It's wonderful.
Right.
And you are brilliant. So, I mean, it's like, you not only the models, but you have languaging. You have a certain way of putting things. You have a certain artistic flair for positioning.
Yes.
And I think that's what's really, I mean, that's part of your superpower.
Yeah, so one of my superpowers is provocative branding. And I've modeled that myself. And it's one route that you can take. And it's one that I'm particularly good at. Now, you don't have to be as provocative as me to get something out of the mastermind. But I think that it's a good model of taking a stand. Taking a stand in the world and letting everybody else adjust, Yep.
Yep. I love that. I read you had a piece on Facebook, just, I don't know, 2 pieces, I think. Probably a lot more, but the 2 I saw. One was, take a stand. Yep. Take it. And then when you're done, take it again. I saw something like that. And I said, oh, I love this.
Yeah. How to change the world in 5 easy steps.
Right, yep. Right. I love that. Then take a stand again. Like, don't worry, you gave 5 quick steps and I loved it.
Yeah, and there's a moment of breakdown in there. You take your stand, people have a negative reaction. You're like, oh, am I a horrible person? Does everyone hate me? And then just recommit.
So good. Really so good. All right, so good. So if you're listening to this show and you're in the category that he's talking about, in the next segment, we're going to find out how to get in touch with him. I mean, this is practical stuff, folks. This is like if you're in the arena of wanting to make transformation in the world and you realize how important sexuality is and you realize how important money is to your mission and sustaining yourself while helping other people making a difference, this is the person that you want to get in touch with. It's like, to me, it's a no-brainer. Call you, write you, find you, see you, whatever. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to find out really how to get in touch with you. And if there's a tip, maybe it's these 5 points about taking a stand in the world, like actually giving the 5 pointers that you gave, then we'll leave people with a tip, some of your wisdom, and hopefully it'll rock their world. Because it rocks mine. I get a kick out of it. I open up Facebook and you say it, and I just go, yes, I love this. All right, we'll be right back. This is Sex and Happiness. I'm Laurie Handlers, and I'm speaking with Michael Arthur. Stay tuned.
So many times you've heard Laurie talk about emotional release on this show. She says over and over again how important it is for you and your loved ones. Now you can do emotional release in the privacy of your own home. And you can practice Latihan too, meditation that prepares you for making love in the unknown. In her CD, Shamanic Release and Latihan, she creates a safe and sacred space in which you can do the powerful work Laurie is known for in her Butterfly Workshops courses. Laurie sets you up with the proper positioning and breathing. Then she guides you through each emotional state to the beat of tribal African rhythms. This CD actually provides an easy way to do emotional clearing work on a regular basis. Order your copy of Shamanic Release and Latihan today and watch your relationships walk free of emotional baggage. To order your copy, go to butterflyworkshops.com right now.
As a sex and happiness coach, I understand that increased sexual participation intensifies sexual responsiveness and desire, as well as overall health and well-being. My experience with the Sybian has personally increased my sexual response, and I can now train women to use this machine to have peak orgasms as often as possible. I strongly believe this will add to their health and well-being whether they have a partner or not. The beauty and the miracle of the human body is that it adapts and changes much more rapidly than people change their beliefs or their opinions. The Sybian can make any woman's body more resilient with each peak orgasm. Sybian is an amazing experience, often described as the Lamborghini of sex toys. If you're a woman and you can get yourself to look at Sybian, you should do so. It won't take away from your partner. It will only add. Trust me on this. I love my Sybian. Go to Sybian.com That's SYBIAN.com, or call 1-800-253-6135. That's 800-253-6135. And say Laurie Handlers told you about Sybian. And by the way, if you do have a partner, ask about Venus for Men. That's Venus, Venus, for men. You're listening to Sex and Happiness, and I'm Laurie Handlers. I'm interviewing Michael Arthur. You know, Michael, something I thought of in the last segment to tell you was, when I first started broadcasting, my show's name was Tantra Cafe. And I don't know, I had that show for about 5 years. And I interviewed only Tantra people. You know, it was good. It had an ulterior motive that I didn't know until it hit me in the head, which was that everybody in the Tantra world then was fierce competitors. Mm. And that was about 12 years ago. And so I interviewed all my competitors and fell in love with them, you know, by having them on my show and getting who they were. Mm-hmm. And my station owner called me one day and said, you should change the name of your show. I said, I'm so bored with Tantra. Like, if one more person tells me they like eye gazing, you know, I'm going to kill myself. You know, like, it was horrible. It was just like, I didn't want to do any more interviews. I was considering shutting the show down. And he said, why don't you name the show after your book, Sex and Happiness? And I named the show Sex and Happiness. And immediately, not only did my ratings go up, but also, like, I became like the top of search engines and all kinds of things, because I didn't know when I did it, but sex and I didn't know when I named my book that either. And when I named the show Sex and Happiness, sex and happiness, those two words are the two most Googled words.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and it also embodies another principle of when you're creating a brand, of finding a polarity, finding the intersection between two things, and making your brand in that center place.
Exactly. So I found that out, you know, backwards, mm-hmm. But I did find it out. And when you were speaking about helping people brand and, you know, make themselves known and whatever, I thought, wow, this happened to me. Unbeknownst to me, it just happened. And it was just because I changed the name of something and refocused. Now I was no longer just a Tantra expert. I was a sex and happiness expert, yep. Which people understand without having to explain to them, this is esoteric, this is from the East, this is blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
Brilliant.
So that happened. Yeah, it happened. So now when people ask me what I am, I say I'm a sex and happiness coach.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't want that?
What?
Who doesn't want that?
I know. Well, a woman called me one day and said, I want to come to your sex magic course. Do I have to have an orgasm? And I said, yeah. You're going to learn the deliberate use of orgasm to fuel your intentions. And she said, nah, I don't want to have any more of those. I said, okay. I'm just like, okay, whatever you say. I don't know.
Some people
I couldn't imagine, but wow. Yeah. So, all right, let's find out. How do people, first of all, do you have a parting tip, something that you'd like to leave people with that gives them like a little taster of you?
Yeah. So the one thing that I would say that I use as a guiding principle with all of the people that I work with is that it's partially about your branding and your outward messaging and partially about your vision and your focus and all of that. But the primary thing that I would recommend that you begin to focus on if you are creating a business or if you're creating any sort of transformational shift in your life or the lives of others is focus on who you are being. And then ask yourself, who do I have to be? Who do I have to become in order to be the person who, for example, has a successful six-figure business? And the inroad into that is the energy that you're holding in every moment. And so every time before you get on a call with someone, before you do a Facebook Live, before you write an email, take take some time and connect with yourself. Close your eyes, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, and visualize that person that you are becoming through the commitments that you've made and through the action that you're taking in the world, and begin to crystallize that vision of yourself as much as you can. Maybe it's just a feeling inside of you that you connect with. You are a kinesthetic learner. Maybe if you're more of a third eye based person, it's a vision that you see of yourself like 5 years in the future. Whatever it is, crystallize that vision, connect with that intention, that energy, and then have the call, and then have the conversation, and then do the interview. And that will allow you to connect with that deeper sense of self and purpose that will allow you to have create the results that you desire.
That's awesome. That's a great tip. So, yes, I did it. I did it when you said to do it. I'm doing it.
Yeah. And I have a longer visualization process that I take all of my private clients through, and in the mastermind as well, that I first honed while I was working with the Evolved Masculine, and I've since adapted for use in Fucking Grow Rich and my other project, What the Fuck Do You Want?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So how do people actually get in touch with you now? Let's
okay.
Yeah.
We're getting down to brass tacks. All right. So
well, I want people to,
yes.
people to know you, and I want people to find you. And, it could be that somebody's listening right now, that's it. They just went, I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know who I was going to call, and now I do.
Well, first of all, to that person, I would say, I want to know you. I realize that we can't have a productive relationship in this regard and grow your business unless I know you as you know me. So in order to make that happen, I would suggest going first to my website for the mastermind, which is fuckinggrowrich.com. And if you want to learn more about me personally, just go to michaelauthor.com. And from that, there's 2 avenues through which you can schedule a call for me, and we can begin to open that relationship where I learn about you and you learn a bit about how I work things and how I work with you to create that success that you're wanting. So fuckinggrowrich.com or michaelauthor.com, and find me on Facebook. It's where I post the vast majority of my stuff.
And wonderful stuff, too, I may add. So
thank you, Lori.
All right, great. Michael, thank you so much for being my guest today. It has been, it's wonderful. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled at the lemonade that you've made. I'm thrilled about it. I don't know how, it's like I used in the beginning of the show, and it's so true.
Oh, thank you, Lori. And I also want to just thank you for being such an awesome support and mentor for me throughout all stages of my journey. You've been...
Yeah, I can remember yoga boxing it out.
Yep.
It was great. It was great. And it's wonderful what you're offering people and helping people like really get launched. And that's really, it's just super important. It's needed and necessary in this world. So thank you. I want to tell everyone listening to, aside from getting in touch with Michael, please tune in next time to Sex and Happiness. I'm going to be talking to somebody who really benefited from going through the whole one taste process and orgasmic meditation. She's not a spokesperson for One Taste, which is kind of changing its direction these days. She wasn't a leader at One Taste. I've had Nicole Daedone on the show before, and other people who had a lot to do in the beginnings of One Taste, Rob Kendall, etc. But this person is someone who I don't like the word just. This is a person who went through the programs and reaped a tremendous amount of benefit, and she's willing to come on the show and share how orgasm affected her. And I think it's pivotal. And so I'm going to be interviewing her in the next show. So please tune in then. I couldn't do this show without you. Thank you so much for listening. I love my life and I love sex and happiness. This is Laurie Handlers signing off for Sex and Happiness.
Thank you for joining us today for Sex and Happiness. To learn more about Lori and her work, please go to butterflyworkshops.com or follow her on Twitter or Facebook. You can send her an email at sexandhappiness@gmail.com. We'll see you again right here next week for another edition of Sex and Happiness.